maybe I should start off by saying Bon Appetit may possibly be the best period drama of this year. I will explain in detail because that's what we do here. Um, but it's like, to be honest, why I say that is because, first of all, with Lee Chae-min, right, I feel like he really showed himself in this role. Like, he's obviously been in other roles before, but it doesn't really feel like he's really in like been in like lead roles, if that makes sense. Ones where ones where he's like actually the face. Do you get it? Because obviously him and both Yuna, they are both the face. So this is basically his kind of, his time, his role. Do you get it? And I feel like he did that so well. And I mean, he's playing a king, right? Obviously, also people were comparing this drama to Mr. Queen, right? Which, like, of course, Mr. Queen has the same kind of themes of what's it called, of body swapping anyways, or we're not even actually, well, no, okay, Mr. Queen actually more so exactly has body swapping. I feel like Yi Ji-young obviously ending up in the Joseon time is more so like, to do with a book, which basically when I thought of the book thing, I thought of First Night with the Duke, right? Because obviously in First Night with the Duke, it surrounded a book also. So obviously that was basically my first reference anyways. I guess like you would say Mr. Queen just because of a relationship between a woman and a king. That's probably that's the main theme. But aside from that, obviously they're not very they're not very similar actually. But yeah. I'm also trying to think of so I was thinking also of why it's the best, and then I feel like its contender anyways is basically Dear Hongrang, right? Like Dear Hongrang obviously came out like not too long ago, and obviously it's also a period costume drama, and obviously Dear Hongrang was like very good, like oh my gosh, it was so good. Like obviously I did an episode in here about Dear Hongrang, which I'll put actually in the description. But like I think like Dear Hongrang had lots of like, first of all, its soundtrack was amazing. Second, oh yeah, it had Lee Jae-wook in it, and Lee Jae-wook is always great in period dramas. That's first thing off the bat, really. Another thing that I don't know, like when I think about those dramas though, like I already mentioned, so Dae Hong-wan, First Night with the Duke, and Mr. Queen, right? But the fact of the matter is, Bon Appetit, right, it obviously revolves around food. So that's why it's more so of, it more so has a unique element, right? It's like a drama like Dae Hong-wan also. It's basically just your standard trauma-filled period drama. Like it's not really got much, what do you call it, it's not much comedy, because this is the thing, like they're doing that a lot in period dramas right now, and I feel like a lot of them are having like more comedy, more like, do you know what I mean, more relaxed vibes than basically just like serious all the time, you know what I mean? And I think Dear Hong exactly, Dear Hong is more of a darker show. Like honestly, if you want a dark show, that's the one. Like versus Bon Appetit. Bon Appetit is more light in obviously in actually I was gonna say yes, it is very light. I feel like it's very light, like maybe I guess when it gets closer to the end. So I feel like yeah, when you're looking for that lightness, it does have that because, you know, what's better than enjoying a good meal that somebody has cooked for you? And that's why I say, like, oh, I was talking about the light and the darkness. But basically, I feel like, yeah, the darkness only really comes in basically like near the last ones. And then I suppose yeah, the darkness would probably be also Yihyun looking for, yeah, what happened to his mother. So I suppose you have that too. But it's like, aside from all of that, like, I feel like it's very like, do you know what I mean? It's very playful, and I feel like, yeah, I feel like it's playful. It's like the way that when she, I guess, yeah, when she gets there, when she becomes the royal cook, when she meets the other cooks at the palace, and yeah, she meets the other people at the palace, and she like obviously shows them her different ways. And I think it's also, yeah, again, there's a playfulness in that as well, because she's meeting them, she's coming to a new environment, and then she's telling them all these meals that they don't know anything about, and then obviously she's helping them to learn them. Of course, another pushing point, like I feel like right now, even how I've started this episode, I'm basically just listing reasons to you, right? And I've obviously done the references, but like, another reason would be is the fact that it's not a K trauma, right? That's all we ever really ask for. I say that. I say that like it's exactly like it's the bare minimum. But it's just like, we as viewers, right? And there's so many K traumas in the world. And I know that people were talking about is it Scarlet Moon Lovers? I've never seen it, but I know that people were talking about that, and I think obviously people were saying that that drama ended up on a K trauma, basically, or had a K trauma ending. And even when I obviously just mentioned Dear Hongrang too, like as I said about how Dear Hongrang was like versus this, it was seriously like dark. And I'm saying like, that's why I'm saying you could obviously class Dear Hongrang as a K trauma anyways. Like, you basically can not even like you basically can, like it generally is. Like, that's just a standalone fact, right? And I'm saying like, exactly, lots of period dramas are, it's not to say that they're not, you know, but like period dramas, and then I guess just general ones, okay? But like, I feel like we know that period dramas a lot are like K dramas, and that's their thing, because they always involve, I don't know, yeah, someone dying. They always have that, but then at least there's sometimes a, what's the word, turnaround. Do you know what I mean? So I feel like, yeah, exactly, they didn't want Bon Appetit to end on a sad ending, which exactly, like, that's what I'm saying, like, you have to be so well, like, we have to be so gracious, so grateful for the small things that you get in life. Basically, you get your what's the word, your happy ending, and it's generally all we could ask for. And I think, what was my indicator? I forgot. Oh, my thing when I was watching it, I remember there was this thing I wanted. I think I wanted what was it? Oh yeah, no. I wanted her to be able to stay in that current time. Even though obviously I thought about it, and then obviously it wouldn't have made sense. But I think to bring up First Night with the Duke again, that's obviously what happened there. So I was like, oh, I thought it was gonna be a thing where she was gonna end up there, and she was going to be able to stay, and she was going to have the ability to change history, which she did anyway. But I just thought, because she was with him, that she was obviously going to like end up with him, and like rule, I don't know, yeah, rule Juicy and with him type situation. So I was like, of course, that was my thing. And I think even in rating, sorry, that's why like my rating was it was holding on to that, because I was like, oh, I need to see if they'll reunite, and like also how they'll reunite as well. Like, do you know what I mean? Because hello, that's very important. We said, because like, I suppose sometimes with reuniting and stuff like that, like, you think to yourself, in maybe even, let's think, like, not even K-dramas, right? Let's think movies, right? You think two people reuniting, and like one doesn't remember the other. Do you know what I mean? I'm like, that's crazy. Like, you spent so long together. But that's really, generally, that's like one of the tropes in, like, I don't know, in storytelling, if you think about it, because a lot of the time when like two people split up from each other, they basically just want one of them to, like, exactly, to get amnesia overnight, basically. Not even like explain that, but like get amnesia and be like, who are you? Like, I don't know you. And we're like, but I like it when they're like, yeah, the heart doesn't forget. The heart doesn't forget what it feels. It feels big, big feelings. So it's not going to forget this person that they shared their heart with. That's basically, that is, like, honestly, I hate that one so much. And yeah, it never makes sense to me. Sure, they like to do it because exactly it adds that element of drama, so a dramatic element, but it's just like, no, like, that's what I mean. So I was like, oh, if they did it that way, my rating was gonna be so much lower than it was. But here you go. So I mean, so we said, congrats, it's fine. Everything's okay, as it should be, basically. I also wanted to talk about I wanted to talk about, obviously, my first thing of what I thought about them, basically. And this is going back to actually my episode I did on my favorite ships, right? And I think this is the thing, my ships, right? They literally follow me all the time, and I see my ships in so many different people. Even shout out to Mantis, because I did a letterbox review, right? And I said that Mantis resembled Gojo and Gero. And then obviously someone in the comments was like, yeah, you're so right. And I said, yeah, of course. Of course I'm right. Because I was like, obviously, if you haven't seen Mantis, you definitely should, just to throw that in there. Because obviously the two people, main character, felt like they resembled them too. Two people who, like, exactly like each other, where it doesn't feel like it's just a bromance again, but not to hop on that again, but where it doesn't just feel like that, but it really feels like, they love each other and they're competing with one another, even though they love each other, and they find that really difficult. But it's just like, exactly, two equally strong people, but one is higher up the rank. So that was basically what was happening in Mantis. And I think if you guys watch Mantis, you'll see exactly what I'm saying. You'll see what I mean about Gojo and Geto. But hey, I want to touch on there first. That was obviously the first, that was the ship that I've seen recently. Do you know what I mean? So do you see how I actually carry my ships with me throughout life and all the time? How terrible. Like, I literally think about them 24/7, and they don't leave, basically. But then let me get on to, obviously, my ship, and, like, obviously what it was to do with in this drama. Basically, when I started Bon Appetit Majesty, I basically first thought, right? first thought generally. It's because, of course, I've mentioned all these other references already, remember? So I did think, but I thought about those in the way that, yeah, these are period dramas. Compare period dramas, because, do you know what I mean? They're all in the same genre. But basically, I thought of, what's his name again? Jinshi and Mao Mao, sorry. And, of course, if you know from my previous episode, which, I mean, maybe I should put that in the description too. But, like, obviously that anime was just, I think it resembled this drama, just because I suppose it's like it's people in the palace, right? So that's why I thought of Jinji and Mao Mao, and I was like, obviously Jinji is the emperor's brother, sorry, and Mao Mao is a girl working in medicine. And so I just kind of saw that in Yi Hyun and Yi Jeong, basically. I just saw that in their relationship because I thought, he's the king. She's literally just working in the kitchen. Do you know what I mean? She's working in the kitchen. She's his role cook. Like, there's really not much. There's a huge divide between them. You know what I mean? So, because it's similar with how much how he so much Jinchi cares about Mao Mao, because generally he what's the word? Yeah, he shows people that he really cares about her. People can tell that he does, because the guy comes there and he's like, oh, where's Mao Mao? And we said, well, she's not here. And then it's like, the guy freaks out. I said, okay, we know that you love that girl, and that's crazy that we know that. But that was basically the biggest thing as why as I saw them. And just because it's like, yeah, although it's interesting to me, because I know that like kings can generally, like I said even in that episode, that kings can have their, what's their word? They can have their pick. Do you know what I mean? That's what I said. They can have their pick in the previous episode, and they can generally say whoever it is that they want, and nobody can really debate it. Do you know what I mean? And I think maybe I was thinking that maybe because that happens more so with like, I don't know, princes or something, because that like royals exactly don't really get with they don't get with common folk, right? Do you know what I mean? It's just the way of life. Do you know what I mean? People will be like, what are you doing with that person? Do you know what I mean? Somebody who is so small to you in comparison. I mean, I don't even think, but yeah, Jinshi and Mama don't even get that. But we don't even, like, exactly. It's very interesting, but they don't really get that. I think in that anime, people see their close relationship, but there's not really much where people are like, oh, why is it that he always wants her around, or type situation like that. Or I guess also then another similarity was the thing of okay, when the king hugged Yejeon, and then because obviously afterwards when she came out of the prison, and then that made me think of when Jinshi and Mamo hugged, but like basically at the end of like season 2, and that's even what we're getting from Jinshi and Mamo right now. They're giving us like crumbs, basically. That's just like, yeah, from time to time Jinshi and Mamo embrace, and that's it really. But then, okay, first of all, because then people might be like, wait, that's not right, because they embrace, yes, but then I suppose they had like what? Exactly, they had one direct kiss but it wasn't anything proper though. This is the thing, like, sorry, it doesn't count, And I think, exactly, when it comes to a person's ships, bro, we're very serious about it. So I'm like, there's no way, there's just no way. Because I'm like, I can say what counts and what doesn't, because I'm so invested in this storyline, basically. And anyways, the Jinshi Mama thing was basically when he was trying to give her, what was it? He was trying to give her air. And that was basically it. So what do you mean? You're going to say to me that counts? It doesn't. I need more. But anyways, back to the connection. I'm saying that's the connection between Jinshi and Mao Mao, and obviously the king and the royal cook, just because you know what I mean? Even what's his name in this drama, he had a consort, do you know what I mean? But did he really care? No, he was not bothered about Consort Kang at all. And I remember I was saying that when I was watching it, and I was like, were him and Consort Kang even happy before Yi Hyung even got here? He said no. There was no like shred of love to be seen between them. Do you know what I mean? And I guess their relationship was obviously just it was just a, what do you call it? Business, financial orientated one, you know? It wasn't anything filled with love. Do you know what I mean? And if Consort Kang had loved him, like she said, she wouldn't have been like out for him in the way that she was. And obviously working with the Grand Prince, we're like, you don't care about him at all. Like, you just want power. Like, you would basically want to dethrone him and you be in his place. Not that would happen. You know what I mean? Not that would happen because there's a queue, but do you know what I mean? But that is how she would want it. And she just, she didn't really care about him. Like, we think to ourselves, oh, like, did she care about him? Because obviously she was after the royal cook as soon as she, I don't know. So exactly, as soon as she stepped foot in the palace, Consort Kang was on her. So it makes you think, right, did she care about the king? But I don't think so. It was more so she just didn't like how... Yeah, I wouldn't say she just didn't like the royal cook, basically. She was just hating. And, like, hating is such a... What do you call it? Such an art, basically. To hate somebody so much and it be your entire... Do you know what I mean? Be your entire personality or your agenda. Yeah, that is just... I'm like, that is gorgeous. Do you know what I mean? But it's like, and it was both her and Grand Prince Jason, innit? They were both having this hate-filled agenda. They said we have to dethrone him because, do you know what I mean? Because he's not a good king. But exactly that. I think myself, there was nothing really wrong with Yi Hyun, I suppose. I mean, they said he was a tyrant. But it's like, yeah, he seemed to have those traits sometimes. Like, he obviously liked to inflict pain. Obviously, especially when he wanted to punish the cooks when they left. The royal cooks when they lost. And we were like, whoa. Like, we're like, it's just a game, bro. It's just a game. But then he's like, it's not a game. This is life. He was like, I'm so serious. and obviously he was like, no. And it's like, she's obviously like, don't do that. Like, if you take off their arms, how are they going to cook? And then exactly, who's going to cook the royal dowager's meal? Tell me, is it going to be you? I don't think so. It's not going to be you. So I don't know what you're doing. Do you know what I mean? It's crazy. But I think that, no, what I'm saying back to the Apothecary Diaries and this is that exactly two kind of like Mau Mau and the royal cook, both two people who exactly by by circumstance they ended up working in the palace. Do you know what I mean? They're not supposed to be there, but they started working there, and then do you know what I mean? Then they get affection from do you know what I mean? From this super high figure. Do you know what I mean? Somebody who you're just like would not look your way, but like it's because you're there. Like, do you know what I mean? No, not even like not even to say it like that. Just like, you're there, you're a woman, you are a warm body, that's why you're chosen. Not like that, no. But just as to say, like, I think, and what I'm saying is both Mau Mau and Yi Hyun both have, specific traits that make them alluring and interesting, right? Mau Mau is obsessed with medicine, and obviously Yi Hyun has not Yi Hyun, Yi Ji-young has the, what's it called? The culinary touch. Do you know what I mean? It's like she's got a paintbrush and she creates her amazing dishes that change people's lives. Do you know what I mean? Change people's lives, go into people's taste buds and like create fireworks. Like, honestly, when she was doing all of these foods, I think for me, basically what I was thinking was that I just wish that, like, I wish that I was eating. Because, funnily enough, I think, I even wrote this in my review on Substack. I'm sure, actually, I'll put that in the description too. Sometimes when I always do this in episodes, I sometimes forget what needs to go in the description, but don't worry, I remember. Um, I'm gonna probably go back and listen to it again, so actually it's fine. Is that like I wrote in my review that reminded me, yes, of Tastefully Yours, but I guess not even exactly. Tastefully Yours is not in comparison to this really, just aside from the fact that they both have food at the front of them, but nothing else. Because obviously they both have food at the forefront, but they're not like similar because it's two different times. And obviously it's like Taste for Yours is a modern drama. But back to what I was saying, with Taste for Yours, I was yeah, most of the time when I was watching it, I was eating, and I think that makes it even more special because then even you then feel the love that like people have for eating. And you don't, oh yeah, even in my Taste for Yours episode, I was basically like, oh yeah, I spoke about how special it is for, restaurants to cook for you. Same when the Taste for Yours had a restaurant. And like, yeah, for us to go through life, eating meals and saying what our favorite meals are. Do you know what I mean? And to think exactly that was Ji Jeong's whole entire stick, her job. All she did was create great foods for the king to eat. And obviously that's what made her life worth not killing. You know what I mean? She was important for that sole reason. And of course, like literally, this is what I keep obviously thinking, yes, what is more important than food anyways? Do you know what I mean? It provides us so much nutrients, protein. Hello, it's gorgeous to look at. Also, and yeah, it's gorgeous to look at, exactly, sometimes. Do you know what I mean? But I've always thought about, like, even how in this drama, when, like, food looks really, like, fancy and, like, something you'd see on MasterChef, sometimes it's, like, those foods, I always find, what do you call it? I think they call it, is it, I was gonna say a la carte, but no, like, I forgot what that term is. But it's obviously that really special rating of like food. So basically ones that, yeah, look really fancy, and they put the sauce on there. Like even Yoo Jong, she was doing all of those stuff. But of course she was, because she was from the modern era, and oh yeah, she had won a competition before she even got there. And obviously she would have been in lots of competitions. I also find it interesting, do you know what I mean? Like, fun fact that obviously Yuna did most of the cooking anyways, because I think when I saw a picture of her, she did cook, like she did some cooking competitions, I think, in real life too as well. So like she's come a long way, I think, in her cooking journey. And I guess also that's probably why this role would be quite special for her. I think even what I saw on Twitter just maybe yesterday was obviously that she was making apple biscuits, and I was like, oh, that's so cute. When it's like, exactly, when it's like a role is not just a role, like it's actually fundamental to like your lifestyle. And like obviously she makes food, and that is exactly what her role and character was in this. I think if I had to pick my favorite dishes that Yoo Ji-young did in this, would probably be like, I really liked the bibimbap that she obviously did in the first episode. A lot of the others, like, this is what I'm saying. When I was thinking, like, oh, a lot of that, that's why I was on the topic of the fancy foods, right? And I'm like, my palate it's not refined. So I was like to myself, all of these foods she was doing, I wouldn't be eating them. Like, that was the funniest thing too. I was watching the show and I was like, oh, none of these foods would like, like, not that they, exactly, I was like, not that they wouldn't please me, because we wouldn't know unless we try. But anyways, I thought to myself, like, I know that I'm a picky eater. So really looking at the foods, I was like, oh, I know that, like, maybe I'm the type to, if we're out eating, yeah, I kind of want you to eat it first. But not even like it's crazy. I'm like the king or any of the royal people that need their food tasting before they eat it. So no, that's not why. It's just I need to know that it tastes nice, even though I don't know why I exactly do that. It's kind of, I feel like that's like gambling, isn't it? That's taking a risk. I don't know why I have that kind of preference, because everyone's tastes are different, but it's still just like, I also think that sometimes, like, exactly, like, good food is good food, and that's something that we can all really, like, agree on, like, not even that, like, oh my gosh, that's your taste is different to my taste, but I just think that if you eat something if you eat something that's been brought out and then you say that's so good, like, it's even again like this drama, the fact that, like, all of them were having their, what's it called, they were having their mouth explode and go into different, like, worlds, basically, that it's like when you see somebody having that reaction, then you want to taste it too. So I think, like, that is even how I do it. But I was like, but then, because it's just obviously, like I said, I think that exactly someone will say to you when they try something, oh, this is bad and it doesn't taste nice, then you'll be like, oh yeah, I don't necessarily want to, I don't want to eat it. Do you know what I mean? I mean, that's what I would do anyway. But do you know what I mean? Because I guess that is why a lot of us like to do that, just like let somebody taste it first, like, then we'll see. I think I was saying about my review, of course, which so I was going to put my September watches in the description, is that I was obviously saying, oh no, the thing that I was saying actually in that review was that it reminded me of Tastefully Yours, because obviously when he first tried Ji Jeong's, like, food for the first time, he was really transported to his childlike self, basically, and his mum feeding him. So, and his, obviously, exactly, it brought him memories of when his mother was still alive. And that was also parallel, actually, to Tastefully Yours, because obviously in Tastefully Yours, the guy obviously eats, I think, is it, yeah, it's that so I forget. Oh, yeah, Go Mincy. But I'll just say Go Mincy because I forgot her character name. But obviously, exactly, he eats Go Mincy's food, and then obviously he is also transported to when he used to be fed, which I think is beautiful. And they had that in this drama actually quite well, actually not quite a few times, just literally twice, because they obviously had the king's one and then they had the queen mother's one as well. So the idea of, like, when when you're eating something that somebody else is feeding to you. And I don't know exactly what's so special about that. Like I said, the idea of tasting something and then obviously but it being spoon fed to you, like, maybe it makes it taste better for some reason. I'm like, it makes it taste better. Like, I don't even know. I think also when I was watching this, I also was like, yeah, I'd get hungry. And then I guess when you watch cooking stuff, it makes you really want to exactly be a good cook. I mentioned that actually in the Taste for Yours episode. I was like, oh, I wish that I could cook how Go Mincy cooks, or how, especially, yeah, exactly, Go Mincy's character in Tastefully Yours and Yi Jeong's, like, they both were exactly two female chefs who basically had such good dish knowledge, and they knew what tasted nice, they knew what to make, they knew how to make it in specific as well. Like, not even just making something, but then knowing what the right thing to do with it is. It's like, it reminds me, of course, about when they were doing the competition, and obviously you John remembered that she needed the cooker, and she needed the cooker for a specific reason, and then obviously the cooker meat was the reason why their meat was so like tender and crispy, and it's just like, wow. I'm just like, yeah, I think also crazy work, but I think in my head I'm like, I need to start cooking, like, in a way. I'm more of a what do you call it? I'm more of a baker, but then also no at the same time. This is just fun fact for you guys. I'm like more of a baker, but also no. Like, I've baked before, but I would still say that like I'm a beginner baker, because obviously sometimes, no, I say sometimes, a lot of the time. I say sometimes, a lot of the time, my measurements cannot be right. I think for me, with baking, I basically need to, I need to just like, you know what I mean? I need to just like properly like focus, and I need to like get all, I need to get so many different probably like tools basically. Like, I know that with baking, and I think this is also, again, like I'm saying about the cooker, it's like with baking, you do need sometimes the right kind of tools in order for your thing to come out the best way. Like, you need a whisk, duh. And exactly, I don't even own a whisk, except maybe I do. I just never used it. This is the thing. But I need to think about that if I have. And I think for me, like, I don't know why I started out baking first. You guys probably think, is that the wrong way to go about it? Exactly. You're like, you'd want to learn how to cook instead of bake, but I really like baking. So long story short, I really like baking. So I think that's probably why it felt more up my lane. And I think I also in a way also find, like, although sometimes my baking doesn't go well, I do find baking easier. Like, I think with cooking, like how I was saying, with like Yi Young knowing, the right ways to, like, exactly, she even had the way of knowing what the best temperature is that something has to be. Do you know what I mean? She had all these different expertise and all these different tips, and like, do you know what I mean? She's the type of person, obviously, exactly, that's why she knew to give her the role cook name, because, do you know what I mean? She just obviously seemed to be well versed in it, and somebody who is an expert, someone you can learn from. Think, I don't know, Gordon Ramsay or James, what's his name? Yeah, James Oliver. I was like, what's his name? And then exactly, and then all those other, chef people like John Turode and the others, And even if you think about, again, something like, yeah, Great British Bake Off, and all of that stuff. So she's somebody who obviously had all of that. And that's just like, yeah, I think when I watch these, I'm just like, yeah, they're really good life lessons. And I'm just like, yeah, I need to cook, and I need to learn how to season. I just need to do all those stuff. This is what's crazy. Like, I never really cook, and I have all of these friends who cook and all this type of stuff, and it's just like, I don't do that. I've got all these friends who cook and like bake, and it's just like, wow. It's just like, when people are able to make such good food, like chicken wings, for instance, and just like, yeah, I don't even know, like, just, yeah, I think. Anyways, no, like I said, my favorite dish was probably the bibimbap anyways, because I like bibimbap in general. Like, I mean, to have, like, exactly, to have in general, because especially, like, I don't know, I mean, her bibimbap, I think, obviously, when the king tried it, it was spicy. I don't have spicy bibimbap. But then, to be honest, I don't feel like a lot of bibimbap, like, in the UK anyways, I don't feel like a lot of it's very spicy. I suppose you can make it that way, but I'm saying like the bimbaps that I've had have not been spicy at all, I feel, which is great because which is great because I'm really not good with spice. And when I think about like Korean dishes, I know that Korean dishes, obviously a lot of them do have spice in them a lot. Like, guys, let's think about kimchi, for instance. Oh, please. Don't even. I'm sorry. Maybe it's like I'm not a spice hater, but it's just I can't tolerate it. So it's the thing where it's like I'm like to myself, oh, if I have spice, you better give me like a liter of milk or something, because like, or like fill my milk all the way to the top, because otherwise I'm not gonna finish that. I think even the last time I went out, actually, yeah, when I was in Chinatown and I had some noodles, I couldn't eat it. And it's just like, and I should have known, because this is the thing. This is why you need to read menus, guys. But like, I looked at the menu and it had like maybe 3 peppers, and I was thinking, why is it that I decided to get that? But then, you know what happened? I do that thing, of course, which you do a lot sometimes when you're out with friends. You just go how like they choose to, and you're like, oh yeah, we'll both have the same. Do you know what I mean? Because it's like, and again, see, this is a me problem. Again, because it's like, again, 2 people have different taste buds, but for me, I'm just like, oh, I should get that. And I guess it was my first time at that restaurant anyway. So I suppose I just wanted to dip my toe in, live life on the edge. I was like, okay, it said free spices, but let's really see how spicy it is. And it was like, yeah, it was definitely spicy. And I just don't know, like, you know what I mean? I don't know what my thought process was behind that. And, I guess the greatest thing was, yeah, exactly, we had it. And then we had to go get boba tea, because I was like, yeah, my mouth is on fire. And I was drinking so much water. Like, I hate it exactly when you eat and like you're drinking, but like you're drinking too much. And everyone knows, if you drink so much while you eat, you're just filling up your stomach more. And like, exactly, not with food, but with liquid. So it's like, then you're just like, oh yeah, now I'm done, because it's like, now you generally can't eat anymore. And that's all because, do you know what I mean? All because you've been drinking so much. And that's why you can't even have any. But yeah, back to the bimbap anyways, actually, is that, yeah, none of the bimbaps that I've had have been spicy, and I'm so glad. I'm so glad. I mean, I know people who, anyways, anyone who's listening to this who loves spice, good for you. But honestly, spice gets me in a fit, and I'm just like, yeah, I start practically crying, and that's so embarrassing. What do you mean I'm crying in the restaurant? What do you mean? Actually, what do you actually mean? It's why I had to so I tried kimchi before, but again, that's too hot. And then also, yes, guys, also remember buldak noodles. Yeah, no. Like, I remember the first time I tried buldak noodles, and obviously, exactly, I had it in the thing. What's it? I had it in one of the pots. So, because I know that you can get the buldak one, which is the pack. So like when you get an instant ramen pack, so one of those. Because I remember this time exactly, I went to the Korean Mart, which is basically this huge Korean supermarket called H Mart, sorry. And obviously they have so much stuff there, and they obviously have such an extensive collection of buldak noodles, right? And I know that I didn't get a pack the time I went there. I basically just got a noodle pot. And actually, funnily enough, there's a noodle pot in my house right now, actually, and I think it may be buldak, but I will not be eating it, of course. You know that already. You know that already, because I literally just said that. because it's just literal fire. You know? Yeah, literal just fire. Like, even remember, even in the drama as well, remember they had the gochujang. Remember they had the chili powder, right? And obviously, exactly. I swear, I remember when the king had it, and then the envoy when he had it too. Both of them were just like, they were just in. I know. Remember they did the image of them in lava, and I was like in like a place with a big lava, and I was like, yeah, that would have been me. And I'm like, but then I wouldn't have even tried it. I wouldn't have even gone there though, because it's just like, no. Then it's like you try it and you get sweaty and it starts running, and it's just a long day. It's just a long day. Like, let's not do it. The last bit that I'll actually touch on basically is probably Yuna and Lee Chamin's chemistry. And I think, do you know what I mean? Their chemistry is great. I think everyone said that he was basically, or I saw clips, he's basically just, he was fanboying, because I was like, fanboying over Yuna. And of course you would, because Yuna is such a big star. Like, I think when the show started, I started researching Yuna, and obviously I saw that she's obviously like one of the most popular, what's the word, K-pop, but no, like, as in, yes, she's an idol and she's also an actress, but I saw that she's obviously one of the most popular ones, because of course you think of people like IU, and also there's also the other one, the actress who's in Genie Make a Wish. But so I think that obviously she's like super high up, and she's been in so many different dramas, and she's obviously just like, yeah, I get it. She is a legend, and I feel like, how I was saying in the beginning, Lee Chae-min hasn't, like, he's not been in a lot, but when I thought about the stuff I've seen him in, it's basically like he's been in Crash Course in Romance and like Hierarchy, but I haven't seen Hierarchy, but I know of it though. Like, I've not watched it though, but I have obviously seen him in Crash Course, because I know in Crash Course, I thought he was not main lead actually. Yeah, no, he wasn't main lead, but I know that he was close with the girl who was in that show. Yeah, he was. But I just mean, that's why I said this drama in specific is like his standout role. Like, he had to give us so much, what's the word? Yeah, character building and like emotion and rage. You guys know what I'm thinking of when I say rage. His scene at the banquet. And yeah, he was such a, like, I feel like exactly, the king was such a complex character. All we really saw was that he was a little boy who needed his mother, basically. That's generally all we really could grasp. And, of course, if you'd lost your mother, you would really, you would obsess over it. Do you know what I mean? And it's also like you would obsess over it because it also would exactly feel like a mystery to you. So, like, they were all upset with him for digging into that, but you would dig into that too. Like, that's actually your whole, like, it's your whole birth mother. Like, do you think we're not going to dig into it? Because that's weird. Like, and then he was upset that he got put on the throne. But he just means because of the circumstances he was faced in, He lost his mother, and then he had to go on the throne with all these people, though, who were around him, like, not thinking the best for him. Do you know what I mean? But, like, that's crazy. And, like, everyone in here is a snake. How crazy. We can't even get our job done because of that then, really. Because it's like every single moment somebody wants to kill us. That's crazy. But I do think it's crazy. I do think that happens a lot, like I meant, for kings anyways. Kings hardly ever really, honestly, don't even get to live out their reign. People don't want them on there. They said, no, I could do it better. Anything you could do, I can do better. I can do anything better than you. But like when I do these episodes, you guys can tell that I'm fringing on ADHD. But I feel like you can, because the I've always said the episodes have no structure. Basically it's basically me just spitballing, you know? Like exactly. It's like beatboxing, and then I'm just making it up as I go along. But like I was gonna say that I was obviously talking about, I mean, their chemistry, and I did obviously think it was very good. But obviously I feel like probably it would have been so good because yeah, like I was saying, Lee Chaemin probably looks up to Yuna, and I think that was how he was able to act with her in such a good way, to be honest. And then, like, exactly. I don't even want to. I don't even want to go into this, but exactly, they are both two people in a relationship. So, do you know what I mean? I think because I know there has to be somebody out there saying Lee Chaemin and Yuna are so cute. He said, first of all, Yuna is married, and Lee Chaemin is dating a Korean actress. And do you know what I mean? I said to myself, I do get it. And I think I was thinking about this actually the other day. I was like to myself, it's really like, sometimes it's not. I do think, right, us as like viewers, we do have a bit of like, right, like, I don't know, delusion, but that's fine. But it's just like, I think it's because we can't really separate the two, which is okay. Like, I'm saying that's normal because it's like we see two people who like exactly who are telling a story, and then I guess the story feels real to us, you know? It feels real to us, and we also see the way that they are as their characters, and so it's just natural, even I feel natural and normal for us to be like, oh, imagine if the two people were actually together, you know? I mean, look, at least that happened for Yuna in King and the Land. You know what I mean? That's what we can say. She did get her fairy tale story, so to speak, because exactly, imagine going to work and that's where you meet your husband. Like, I'm just like, you go to work and it's like, okay, right now you're like, oh, I've fell in love with this guy, and now I'm actually like, I'm dating him, and like it's all normal, natural and realistic. That's crazy, because I've said this to you guys before, but like exactly acting with somebody who, like, you know, exactly, I think chemistry must be a hard thing to work on though, because I think you can't necessarily just have it out of the park, even though it depends on what kind of person you are. Do you know what I mean? If you really are able to get on with people like that. But, you know, a lot of the time, you know, it can be very hard. I mean, just matching two people together and like, you're just like, oh, act. Do you know what I mean? And like, I don't know, pretend that you love her. And it's like, whoa, like, I just met this, I just met this person 5 minutes ago. But, I'm like, I think to myself, exactly, chemistry is such an important thing. And it's like, yeah, and I feel like for them, of course, exactly, they're not doing it from a place of, right, romantic desire or whatever, because they're in their own relationships. And honestly, like I said about Eunice thing, I said, how crazy is that? Because exactly when I thought about it, and I think I did mention this, I don't know when, but I mentioned this and I said that, like, yeah, Yuna's been able to meet her husband on King the Land, and then of course you have the infamous couple of Crash Landing on You. And I was like, do you see, I was like, how crazy it is, like, you just meet each other and you just get married and then you're just happy, you know? Yeah, you know what was crazy? I was like, remember Jey, like, obviously he is married, and I was like, oh, but it's like, this was crazy. And I think I was thinking this yesterday with, like, you know, Nicolandria, and I was like, how crazy that people will still, like, I don't know, like, I think it's all well and fine of somebody being like, oh yeah, I really find Nick attractive, you know what I mean? Like, do you know what I mean? That's all well and fine. We don't I think to myself, nobody owes Alandra anything. They don't know her. But it's still like, you know what I mean? I think to myself, you have decency. Do you know what I mean? I even think to myself, I used to, yeah, I used to be crazy about Jay, innit? Because, I mean, he made that song Baby, and I was like, he's so cool, right? And I used to do that. Then I was like, he's married now. So it was almost like, it's like, it makes you think it's a turn off, but you're like, oh, he's married. And we're like, no. But it's like, we're like, no, like, it just can't work, really. Because you're just like, oh, this person's married. Oogling over them is weird. You know, they have a wife and they've got like, I don't know, 2 kids or something. So, and I know, but it's funny when like, I think, oh yeah, have you seen those comments where it's like, oh, his wife is so lucky. Those are funny. You know what I mean? Those are hilarious. I really like those because they're obviously like, do you know what I mean? And then you have the comments that are like, oh yeah, his wife is better. His wife's a better woman than me. Blah blah blah. All of those. Those are hilarious. But it's still like, you know, people will say those jokes and then I don't know, they take it too far. Obviously, like I said about Nicolandra, I was like, why would anyone ask somebody to kiss their man? I said, you guys are crazy. Like, what are you sniffing? Glue? like honestly, what are you sniffing? Is it glue? Because I don't know what that is, you know? Especially because she's right there. That's another thing. I think when maybe people like us, for instance, if we do it, I don't know, in the comfort of our rooms, we're being a bit of a keyboard warrior. Hey, being a bit of a keyboard warrior, and we're saying one of these crazy, outlandish things. That's all well and fine. But you're going to say that when she's actually present? You're joking. You're joking. She's there and she's in front. And you know what I mean? She's there and she's present. Oh, you guys just have gall. Do you know what I mean? You have gall, you have balls. Just what I mean? We said like, exactly, not good on you, but wow. We said, wow, you're courageous. You're defo courageous. Oh, I think also a great place now to wrap up would be that obviously the special episode is actually coming out today when I've recorded this. The 4th of October, basically. So obviously it'll be good to see it's good to see what that sort of episode is about, because obviously lots of viewers said they wanted a special episode because they didn't like how, I think people felt like that the makers rushed the ending kind of thing, because obviously he ends up in Yu Ji-young's world, but he did tell her he'd come back for her, guys. So yeah, he told her that, but then I guess people were like, they want the explanation and they want understanding. Even though, you know, for me, like, I always think to myself, I don't try to put logic on shows very often. And is that bad? No, because it's not real. So I think in my head, I literally just let the show play out, because it's generally not real. And I'm like to myself, like, exactly, they want to do it as that like he came there, you know, exactly. What do you call it? Yeah, that he just came there out of the blue and that there's no explanation for it. But, you know, I can understand people wanting to understand and wanting to know how he did manage to get there. Even though, like, honestly, I do think, of course, right, he would have managed to get there with the help of the book. But that would be obvious, because that's their tying thing. It's almost like their, I don't know what you call it, but like, I was going to say like their item, but you know what I mean? So like something that connects a couple. Because you know when you think something that connects a couple, like say, I don't know, a bracelet, or even like, I guess in Alchemy of Souls, for instance, I suppose like their little tassel thing, they had their little pearl thing, and that was basically their item, you know? So this is what I mean. I was like, of course he would have got there with the help of Manrook, because obviously Manrook brought her to him, and then Manrook brought him to her. You know, so yeah, I was like, it's like an equation. I was like, but yeah, that's the way that it works. It's basically just like Dora's map, for instance. It's how it got him to be there. And guys, the ending was so good. It felt like football. I was like, wow. I was like, yes, yeah. Sorry, but yeah, I was like, wow, we're winners. And then yeah, exactly. So it was really special. And I guess it was really special that she was able to obviously go back and just kind of blend in back to her life, you know, go back to being a cook and like properly. And then also she would have obviously learned so much in her time in Josiane. So that was like, it's more so now for her to be able to bring that to the modern world, which I thought was like really special. So yeah, we've reached the end. So thank you so much for listening to this episode of Bon Appetit. And you should obviously watch Bon Appetit because, as I said from the very beginning, it is probably one of the best. And yeah, it's one of the best. And that is generally the only reason why you should watch it. And all the reasons that I listed in this episode. So thank you so much for listening and see you in the next one.